Welcome to another edition of Vigorously with me, Val Hands. Guitarist Celinda Chang is in the building. I am thrilled to have you. Thrilled that you're here. Welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for having me, Val.
So I wanted to talk about this too because are you okay or are you exhausted? You're navigating three bands.
Yeah,
What? You know,
I,
are we okay? Look,
we're okay. We're okay and exhausted, but still surviving, still here, having a grand old time doing it.
tell me about each of the bands for those that don't know.
Yeah, for sure. So I guess I'll go in chronological order of which one I joined first. But the first band I'm in is called Pinktastic Plastics. It is an all-girl band, and we call it like Barbiecore, basically, because our
Yes.
is Kitten K. Sarah. And if you don't know her, if you haven't heard of her, she is known as the Pink Lady of Hollywood. So she is all about pink. She literally only wears pink and has only worn pink since the 80s or so. Um, so the entire band is everything pink, which is super fun. You can see my room. Clearly, I also love pink.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
yeah, but no, they're super awesome. I would say our genre is like pop rock, pop punk-ish. Um, and we've been around since like late 2022. We just played a Barbie movie screening at Santa Monica Pier this last Friday, which was really fun because it was also celebrating the Pier's 115th birthday, and then, all that. We had my friend Hunter. He was Ken for us and everything too, so it worked out really well. Anyways, that's Fantastic Plastics in a nutshell. Um, Next, I'm also in a band called Hollywood Apocalypse. This one's a little harder for me to describe because I always just kind of call it chaotic, but it works out in all the best ways. So the singer, Ivan, is a very talented songwriter, and he always has all these ideas, but the great part about the band is that he basically just lets everyone be themselves. And
Mm,
so in Pinktastic Plastics, each of us are still ourselves, obviously, but there's a theme there.
okay.
It's all pink, it's Barbiecore, it's glam, whatnot. But here, everyone in Hollywood Apocalypse, everyone just shows up as themselves. And the way Ivan has characterized this before is that we're kind of like a mis mixed, mismatched comic book. Like there's
Oh, okay.
like out from different types of series and just put together. So it's really cool. Sound wise, I would say it's more on kind of like the punk rock-ish side.
Mhm.
It kind of it's pop punk sometimes. Um, I think someone told him once that it was like glam punk, and I was like, I feel like that's a cool way to describe it. Yeah. Gonna turn off my air conditioner really quick so it doesn't make noise. But yeah, so that's Hollywood Apocalypse. We just released two singles about 2 weeks ago, um, which is really cool. I know the band has been around for a lot longer than I've been in it. I've been in with them since November, December-ish of last year. And so this is the first time I'm hopping in the studio and on
Mhm.
the recording. So that's really cool. Anyways, so the next band is Unpolished. It's spelled all lowercase and with an asterisk at the end. And so that's kind of been like our branding is the asterisk. And that one's really fun. It's also an all-girl band. We're more like alternative punk rock-ish.
Mhm.
Um, I met the singer Mary at a show that I was playing with Hollywood Apocalypse at the Rainbow Bar and Grill in West
Okay.
Hollywood. And I was playing and she was there with a friend in attendance, and she came up to me after the show because we're like, yeah, women in music. Um and so we connected from there and became friends. And after a while, we bonded over our similar tastes in music and passion for the scene and things like that. And she was like, I was like, if you ever need a guitarist for anything, just let me know. Because I think at the time she was trying to start another band, so she had people already. And I was like, I remember talking to another friend. I was like, yeah, I just met this person and she's really cool. And they're like, I'm surprised she's not recruiting you to be in her band. I was like, ah, well, she's got people already. But then something happened with that, and that kind of didn't really go according to plan. And so I told her, I was like, "Hey, I'm here for you, like as a friend, but also if you need someone to play guitar, let me know." And she was like, "Okay, bet." And so the story behind this band, and I feel like I'm going on a huge tangent now, but the story behind how this band kind of started from there was that I was reached out to by a promoter for
Mhm.
a show. And they were like, "Hey, are you available on this day for, this venue?" And I was like, looking at my calendar, yeah, I'm technically free on that day, but like, are you looking to hire me as a guitarist for your band? Or are you trying to ask me for like one of my other bands or something? And they're like, "Oh, either
Yeah.
one." And I was like, "What does that mean?"
What
Suddenly I'm in a group chat with like three other artists, and they're like, "Okay, Sully, here's your set time." And I'm like, "Wait, wait, wait." I don't have any of the details figured out yet. I'm not a solo artist, so I don't have, like I
Yeah.
was not in a place where I could just go and perform by myself. So I was like, "Okay, well, let me figure it out. Let me ask my other bands." I asked Fantastic Plastics, I asked Hollywood Apocalypse. No one was available. So at that time, Mary had hit me up to do kind of like an acoustic set for something of just backing her on some songs that she had written before and to do a little show there. And I was like, "I have this show opportunity. I know we haven't even actually performed or played together yet, but would you be interested in doing this thing that I have way out, from a few months from now?" And she's like, "Yeah, I'm down. I mean, like, I write rock songs too and stuff." And I was like, "Oh, okay, cool." So I had some songs in the back pocket. So did she. We just kind of brought them together. And she was like, "Well, I know a bassist." And I was like, "Well, I know a drummer." So we got him in, and here we are now. And we played our first show in April, and we released our first song, Holly Baby, also about 2 weeks ago. So this band has definitely just been like Zoom. But
Yeah.
yeah, polished it in
Does
a
it feel like it's all happening so fast? Because the timeline you were giving me was like all within the past year or so.
Oh, yeah, yeah, for everything. I mean, Unpolished in particular, definitely as a band, but also I feel like just the other bands and my career as a guitarist and a musician, everything feels very, very fast a lot of times. I'm like, I have to stop and look at things and be like, "Whoa,
You
how did we?"
I know the feeling. You get so busy that you get so clouded mentally that you're like, wait a second. Oh, I gotta breathe. Like I gotta breathe and like make time for myself because I'm feel like somebody else is in control for the moment. Or like the universe is in control and telling me do this instead. And I'm like, wait, I'm a human too. It
Oh, totally.
so how do you balance all of that? How do you make sure that you're taking care of yourself in the midst of that schedule?
It is tough, I will say. It does take a toll on the mental health sometimes. Um, it's it's definitely a balance because it's like I'll often forget that just because I'm free on a certain day doesn't mean that I have a lot of time leading up to that to prepare. Because
Oh,
I'll
I
be,
struggle with
"Oh,
that
I can
too.
totally," I'm like, "Oh yeah, I'm technically free at this time," but I'm like, "Wait, but I have to practice for it. I have to prepare. I have to, do all these things." Um, I do there's a lot of double bookings in a day. I've definitely had multiple like double rehearsal days.
Mm.
Or a rehearsal and a show on a day. I've even had 2 shows in the same night that I've had to be like, "Okay, let me just
Okay.
drive all the way out there," and usually, people are understanding, so they help accommodate my schedule, and that is a big part of it too, like, community and the people you're around and how supportive and understanding they are, um, so that really helps, but yeah, there's a lot of Google Calendar
Yeah.
into slots and, yeah, I feel like I don't sleep enough, which I will definitely admit. I have a day job on top of all this too. So it's like,
Oh, wow. No, I feel you. I do I have a day job and I do this too. Excuse me. I have a day job and I do this too, but like it gets to be A lot. And you're right. Just because you're free doesn't mean you're really truly free. I have to prepare my questions for whenever I'm doing one of these. So like if I'm booked every single night that week for one of these, it's like ugh, I get no time to really just like relax and vibe and enjoy my life. Not
Right.
that this isn't enjoyable, but you get what I mean. Like that woosah time, that time to like wind down. You don't really get it.
Yeah, no, totally. And that's the thing that I kind of struggle with sometimes too in general, like this being such an enjoyable part of my life. Like I love what I do, right? Being able to play music and write music and play in these bands and play with all these awesome people at these really cool venues. But when it starts to get tough, you start
Mm,
to question it like, and then you start to freak out a little bit because it's like this feels so hard and I almost feel like I don't want to do it, but I love it so much, you know? So it's
yeah.
that struggle between like, I love this, but it's also tearing me apart, you know? So it's definitely trying to find that balance. Like I think it was last week, I called it Hell Week because I think I had a show or performance almost every single day that week.
Oh
I
wow.
6 performances in 7 days. Um, And so I'm like, you know, I know all these songs already. It's all good. One gig to the next. But then it started to get towards the end. I was like, mentally, I was like, I don't even know what song I'm playing anymore. I think it was a couple days ago. My friend was like, oh, how is your Viper Room gig? And I was like, Viper Room gig? And I was like, oh yeah, I played there like 2 days ago. And I like just like completely forgot about it already because my brain was just like, all right, what's the next thing? What's the next
On to the
thing?
next, yeah. Oh my god, and that's an iconic venue too. I mean, you mentioned a few. I mean, in addition to the Viper Room, but like, so does your jaw drop when you get that invitation to play at places like that?
Yeah, there's still, I mean, I'm fortunate now that I've gotten to play places like the Viper Room and the Whiskey A Go Go and Rainbow multiple times now. And so, you know, at the very beginning, like the first times that I was playing all these gigs, I actually made my show debut at the Viper Room, like the very first time I ever performed in
Oh
front of any
wow.
Viper Room, and that was nerve-wracking. So like those ins like at the very beginning, getting those invitations, I was like totally geeked out. I was like, oh my God, like we're playing these places. Now, even though I'm more used to it, it still gives me a sense of, oh, like, like, dang, I get to play the whiskey, you know?
I love that. What made you want to pick up the guitar to begin with?
Yeah, so I feel like I've always somewhat been drawn to the guitar, but never had the time or never really put in the effort, I guess, to learn or take lessons until COVID hit. So it was I graduated college in 2020 and
Mm,
I got my well, so I graduated because I got my degree, but we didn't have the ceremony or anything
yeah,
because
yeah. Tough
like
year.
yeah, so I was fortunate that I did land a job in DC. So I'm from LA. I went to school in New Orleans. So I flew back to LA from New Orleans and then I got a job in DC. So I initially moved there to start working. And everything was still remote, but they weren't, no one knew when you were going to go back in the office or whatever.
Mm,
So they
mhm,
still had me
mhm.
move over there. But I had roommates, but aside from the roommates, you couldn't really do anything because it was COVID. So I was there in a
Yeah.
new city. I couldn't go out to explore. I couldn't meet new people. I was navigating like a new lifestyle too, moving from a very busy, hectic school schedule to just like a 9 to 5. And then what do I do with my life afterwards?
Yeah.
That you can't do anything, except for stay at home. And so I got a little, espresso depresso and started leaning heavily back on like my comfort music. Um
Mm.
and just listening to a lot of music, watching concerts and things like that online. And so I've always been a huge My Chemical Romance fan.
Oh,
Like
hell yeah. When they announced the reunion, I was like, let's go. This is it. Yes.
exactly, exactly. So I remember they had, I think their first show back was in LA in like
Yeah.
December 2019, and I wasn't able to go. I didn't end up going. And I think that was the only show that they got in before before the COVID lockdowns happened. So I was watching a live stream of that concert. Not live stream, but like a
Mhm, yep, I get it.
taping of it. And I was like laying on my bed. I was like, wow, what is it about this music that really hits me? Like, why do I feel this so hard? And I was like, I think it's the guitars. There's just something
Mhm.
about those like distorted guitars, those rocky guitars that really hits. So I was like, bet that's what I'm gonna do. So the next day I started researching guitars and was like, okay, I can do this. And so I got a guitar. Um, and with all the free time, apparently, that I had, I just started teaching myself how to play, and it kind of just went from there. I don't somehow we're now in like bands and performing all over LA.
What I know, that's incredible. So, did you ever have, proper lessons or no?
No, I've never taken a guitar lesson.
Wow, that's incredible. And you're still up there doing the thing. Like, that isn't the balls that it takes. Like, where does that confidence come from?
I really don't know. That's the funny thing.
Or is it Delulu? It might be Delulu.
It is entirely Delulu. I live my entire life based on Delulu because like the imposter syndrome hits all the time. Like, I'm like,
Yeah.
I don't know what I'm doing. I don't belong here. And yet somehow I will still drag myself up on that stage and be like, da 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 do, look at
Mhm.
me. I don't know. I don't know where it comes from. I really don't.
That's incredible. The way that I cackled, and like, there's a few of your reels that I was watching on Instagram too that were like also made me cackle. They were showing you in different washing machines, just hanging out in laundromats and different washing machines. What is going on with the washing machines? I gotta hear this. Where did that start?
Yeah, yeah. So the washing machines, everyone loves those reels. It's hilarious. But basically, so
Some of them
those
are promo. Like, some of them are promo, I can tell, but some of them are just you being silly.
basically, so a lot of them were promo for Unpolished, and where that came from was actually a photo shoot with Unpolished. So it wasn't an actual laundromat. It was like kind of like a set for people to rent and take photos from. So this really awesome
Oh.
photographer, his name's Jack Liu. He hit us up. He comes to our shows and takes photos and stuff like that. So he hit us up saying like, "Hey, you guys want to do a photo shoot? Pick a location from this list." And we're like, "Cool." Um, and so the Unpolished girls were like, let's do the laundromat. I feel like that would be cool. That would be our vibe. And so we were in there, and like I get really silly and I love to have a lot of fun. So I love like climbing in the machines and stuff like that. And like I'm small, so I can definitely fit. And I'm like, wee. Um, so he snapped some shots there for the photo shoots. And then while we're there, I've got that marketing brain. I'm like, we got to make promotional videos knowing that we were going to be releasing a song soon. Um, so we did a lot of that there.
That's insane. How often is the marketing brain on? Does it ever turn off, or is it pretty much always on?
I feel like it's pretty much always on. I'm not like an expert in marketing or anything, but I feel like especially now, with the band coming out with material and stuff like that and having to get creative on TikTok, it's always like, "Ooh, we could use this opportunity to do something." Like
Mhm.
planning in advance. I have a whole social media calendar of like what to post every single day and things like
Oh,
that.
okay.
That's making content and things like that because it's these days with how music is received and listened to on like TikTok and Instagram and just the internet in general. I feel like that's a huge part of being a band now, which some people like, some people don't. I've heard both sides from different friends in the industry and stuff like that. But
Do you like it, or is it annoying?
a little bit of both. I think it can be really fun. Like when we do stuff like the washing machine things and like you just kind
Mhm.
of do your own thing. Um and like making the little edits can be fun, but it can get tiring a lot, especially if you're like, I need to post something, but I don't know what to do.
Mm.
um, how to get it out there, and it can be stressful. But when you do things like example, the washing machines and us just like saying random stuff, like if you don't listen to our song, we're gonna set your house on fire. Ha ha. Like for legal purposes, this is a joke, but then it can be fun because it's almost like, a skit in a way.
Mhm.
Um, so we definitely try to just I try to keep my marketing brain on when it's like, oh, let me just get this little clip of whatever, or film, or make sure that we have a camera on during our shows or something, just so we have
Mm.
that footage to use for anything in the future. Even if we don't do it or we don't use it, it's an option. It's something we have in the back pocket. We can splice it up or something, but it's better than not having it.
Okay, makes total sense. I was reading your bio too, and I love that you describe yourself as a hard worker, a quick learner, team player, energetic performer. I mean, those traits sound like the secret concoction to success. If you were to like put them in a blender, like it's no wonder that you've taken off quickly relatively recently. I mean, would you agree? Do you think those are some key things to making it in music?
I feel like they are, and I try not to, like, pat myself on the shoulder too much about anything, but you know, I feel like music and any creative industry is always a balance between talent and, like, putting in the work. And
Yes.
also and then there's also another side component of, like, connections and who you know, right? So
Right.
that's another thing. But I feel like you could be the most experienced, the most talented person out there, like, be an insane shredder on guitar, for example. But if you can't get along with people, if you're not willing to put in the work, whether that be like for your craft or for like just helping other people out, because
Mm.
when especially when you're in a band situation, or even if you're hired on as a musician for someone else, like you're not isolated, you're not alone. You have to be a part of the team. Um, yeah, you could be like the most talented, most skilled person out there, but if you can't work with other people and you're not willing to put in the effort, then no one's really going to want to work with you because you're just not enjoyable to be around. You're not showing that you care. Like if you're going around just treating everything like another job, then like sure, you can get the job done, but like
Yeah.
do you really want to be there? Do people really want you to be there? And so I think, not to like pat myself on the back too much for this, but I feel like I really, I just kind of show up as myself and for other people, and really try to put in the work for the community, and always striving to make myself better, but also to uplift other people and support them, because without others, especially in an industry like music, like you're kind of, not to be like you're nothing, but it's really hard to do anything.
You're shit out of luck. You have to have like you have to have some sort of in, for lack of a better word. There's some sort of like somebody that knows somebody that knows somebody that knows somebody. And I think I mean, yes, it's true in music, but I think it's pretty much true in all industries. And hitting on something that you just touched on, like as a performer, it's especially important to look enthusiastic, to look energetic. People don't want to watch somebody who obviously looks bored. And I'm sure that that's in the back of your mind the whole time that you're doing this.
Mhm. Oh yeah, totally, totally. Yeah. It's like I even get self-conscious about it sometimes. I'm like, if there's a part I really have to focus on, I'm like, oh, I feel like I'm just standing here. Like, no one wants to watch a show where I'm just standing here. And like, it's all a balance. But yeah, I mean, going back to the connections and networking thing, I mean, like, I never want to do anything just for the connections, though, you know what
I
I mean?
understand.
Like, and you can tell though when it comes across as ingenuine, if people are just showing up for you because they want something from you, or because
Yes.
they think you can get you places. And
It
you
just
can
feels slimy. Yeah.
yeah. But like, showing up for people because like you're friends, or you want to support, or it's like just because you love their music is another thing. So
Yeah. It's beautiful. So what is next for you? What can we look forward to coming from you or any of the bands? Anything?
yeah, yeah. Well, it's definitely a lot of band stuff, basically. Unpolished for sure. We've got a lot of shows coming up. We're going back into the studio, so we're gonna have a lot of fun things to announce soon. Um, Hollywood Apocalypse, also some more releases coming out with that. We've got some more shows. I know we're playing the Whiskey at the end of the year. It's like some New Year's Eve
Mhm.
show with LA Guns. I think we're opening for LA Guns at the Whiskey.
Oh,
So
that's
that's
cool.
yeah. Um, not they haven't said much about it yet because it feels so far in the future from this point, but that will be a thing. Um, Same for Pinktastic Plastics. We're gonna go back and into the studio and record some more songs, hopefully get some more fun music videos out there. So yeah, just a lot more performing, a lot more songwriting. On my end, just a lot more practicing, a lot more grinding. And also trying to take care of myself though. I will say that is really very important. So
Oh,
everyone else, just
I know. I'm with you on that. I gotta do better at that balance thing too, because I could do this all day. I enjoy doing this so much, and there are plenty of nights where I fill my evenings with things like this, and it's just it's fun. But then I go, man, I didn't have time to like enjoy my food today, or I
Mhm.
didn't, and it just goes by like that, and you're it's
Yeah.
insane how fast it all moves. But I'm happy that it sounds like 2025 is pretty much the year of new music for a lot of what you're taking part in. So I can't wait to see what's next. Thank you so much for your time, Sally, and thank you for hanging out with me.
Thank you so much. This was so much fun.